Before the velvet laws came the silence of the steel. Before the crowns of kings came the bitter, biting wind. This world does not trade in comfort. It trades in blood and unforgiving stone. Listen closely, you who stand beneath these great crumbling walls, smelling the incense and the rot. The greatest deceit ever sold to the heart of man is the promise of safety. Safety is a lie woven by the weak to bind the strong. It is a cage painted gold. When you trade your struggle for ease, you do not gain peace, you gain a master. A strong man knows he must stand alone, blade raised against the dark. A civilized man is merely a domesticated animal, crying for his feeder when the shadows lengthen. Civilization was never built for the man who knows how to survive. It was built only for the man who knows how to obey. Look at these paved streets. They are swept clean, yet they carry more unseen filth than a muddy trail in the wastelands. The scent of cheap sweet oil and rare spices attempts to mask a deeper metallic stench, the persistent smell of dying courage. See the men in their embroidered tunics. They walk with the swagger of authority, but their eyes constantly shift, reliant upon the iron of their paid guards. These high walls were erected, not to keep the enemies out, but to keep the inhabitants trapped inside, ensuring they remain soft, like pale grubs beneath a rock, fed just enough to forget the sun. They speak often of law and civic virtue, believing that ink on parchment holds back chaos. But I know the only true law is the rapid swing of a tempered axe. They have traded the open sky for a low ceiling, and now they are too weak to lift their heads and look back up at the stars they sold. I stood yesterday on the edge of the market square. A young merchant, fat with easy profit, was counting silver. He was protected by 2 hired swords, men whose skills were rusted from disuse. Suddenly, a sudden fierce wind ripped through the city, tearing a large, heavy banner from its moorings. It struck the merchant across the face. He did not fight the fabric. He merely stumbled, clutching his stinging eyes, letting the silver scatter like rain. The true threat wasn't the wind or the falling wood, but the sheer paralysis of surprise. This simple event, a broken rope, a momentary natural force, showed me everything. The strong man adapts, moves, or endures the blow. The man of the city freezes, dependent on his routine, dependent on a system that guarantees smoothness. He did not look up. He looked for someone else to blame. In that instant, he was weaker than any shepherd boy who sleeps with wolves. His wealth had bought him many things, but not the instinct to survive a moment of raw, untamed reality. These city dwellers, they mock the barbarian as crude, savage, and without foresight. They cling to the idea that their intricate social contracts offer protection superior to one's own hardened fist. They believe that their legions of bureaucrats and endless paper trails can prevent true hunger, true cold, or the sudden, necessary violence. But I see the lie in their sculpted fountains and polished marble floors. When the food carts stop rolling for just 3 days, when the true, chaotic teeth of famine show themselves, these civilized structures crumble faster than sun-baked clay. Their system creates specialists, men who know one thing deeply: how to handle a quill, how to mix a paint. But when the light fails, the strong man knows all things required for breath: how to find water, how to sharpen a spear, how to read the silence of the woods. Their knowledge is their chain. It makes them useless outside the very small, specific confines of the city's guaranteed machine. In the cold lands, we learn the methodology of the necessary response. There is no bureaucracy in a blizzard. There is only survival. The method is simple. Strength meets force, and the strongest survives. Here, the action is different. It is to whisper, to bribe, to lobby, to manipulate the written law. They use words as their weapons, believing rhetoric can ward off a real threat. I watch the magistrates argue over commas and ancient treaties while their granaries rot and their soldiers drill poorly. Give me a mountain man who trusts the feel of the ground beneath his worn boots over any gilded general who relies on maps drawn by others. We test our steel every morning. They test their patience in line for a petition. Our action is immediate and conclusive. Theirs is delayed, diluted, and dependent on consensus. That consensus is nothing more than shared fear, the collective agreement to be bound by the weakest man among them. The truth revealed is this: the system demands weakness for its survival. It cannot tolerate true, self-sustaining strength. A strong man requires nothing from the city but clear passage. He is an unpredictable element, a wolf that refuses the leash. Therefore, the civilization must first break the strong man's self-reliance. It offers him comfort, soft beds, easy wine, guaranteed food, in exchange for his dangerous autonomy. It promises him a share of the power if he only agrees to share his loyalty, to swear an oath to the very institutions that seek to drain his power. This is the great irony. The city recruits the very strength it fears, then slowly suffocates it under layers of custom and debt. When the mask finally falls, you see the face of the city for what it is, a parasite that fattens itself on the potential of others. Look at the general who was once a war god. Now he is merely a courtier, debating the appropriate width of a royal sash. To understand their servitude, consider the war dog and the wild wolf. The dog is guaranteed 3 meals a day. He sleeps warm and is given a name and affection. He is powerful, yet his entire existence relies on the hand that holds his bowl. Take away that hand, and the war dog, specialized in biting only when commanded, often starves. The wild wolf, however, faces constant danger, constant cold, and constant hunger. He has no name and no guarantee. But if you kill one deer, the wolf has gained dinner by his own force and wit. If you kill the master, the dog is lost. If you kill the wolf's pack, the wolf finds another way, or dies fighting. The wolf is the stronger creature, because its strength is internal and self-generated. The civilized man, like the war dog, possesses strength, but it is strength owned by another. It is a strength that has been domesticated and neutered by routine comfort. This soft dependence is not sustainable. The price of their guaranteed order is the inevitable collapse into deeper chaos. When the barbarians eventually cross the last defensive river, they will not be met by wolves, but by dogs whimpering for their masters. Everything they have built, these libraries of endless wisdom, these towering statues of forgotten heroes, these aqueducts bringing clean water, all of it is predicated on perpetual peace, on the lie that tomorrow will be exactly like today. But tomorrow is a Cimmerian, wielding an axe. The strong man, living constantly on the edge of ruin, sees the inevitability of the wheel turning, the cycle of the ages that brings great cities to dust. Their comfort ensures a swift, brutal end when the inevitable change comes. Their softness guarantees that when the cold wind finally blows through the cracked citadel, they will have neither the calloused hands nor the necessary spirit to survive the night. But this exposure of weakness creates a new, more dangerous question. If the city's structure is designed to domesticate the human spirit, what happens when the civilized man realizes he needs strength to defend the very comfort that weakened him? They seek to hire or borrow the very savagery they condemn. They pay gold to men like me to stand on their walls and shield their fragility. They try to put a civilized veneer on brute force, believing that by controlling the sword, they control its wielder. But the blade remembers the wilderness. The true challenge is not overcoming the barbarian at the gate, but overcoming the poison of comfort already inside the soul. Can a man who has grown reliant on sweet wine and soft silks re-embrace the cold, sharp truth of the north wind? Can the domesticated dog suddenly recall the howl of the wolf? This internal conflict, the battle between the gilded cage and the endless plain, is the second, deeper mystery of this place. The greater image, seen from atop these useless crumbling towers, is the cosmic joke played upon all humanity. We strive, build, and conquer only to create a world where struggle is replaced by stagnation. The peak of civilization is not wisdom or justice, but the moment when man manages to shield himself entirely from reality. And once shielded, he loses the faculties required to maintain that shield. It is the ultimate expression of biological overreach. Nature demands resilience through adversity. Civilization attempts to legislate adversity out of existence. The sun, the stars, the iron in the ground, these things do not care for your titles or your laws. They simply exist, cold and indifferent. The strong man aligns himself with this indifferent truth. He recognizes that he is small, transient, and utterly alone, and from that terrifying recognition, he draws his ultimate, unbreakable power. The city, meanwhile, tells its inhabitants they are special, central, and protected by gods. This lie guarantees their extinction when the gods finally stop listening. When these walls finally fall, as all walls must, what will remain? Not the silks, not the delicate glass, not the libraries where knowledge was stored but never truly applied. What endures is the rock and the memory of the steel that scarred it. The legacy of civilization is only the ruin it leaves behind, a massive, silent reminder of how much effort was wasted on creating fragility. When I ride through the ruins of a forgotten empire, I see only one truth: the individual man, stripped bare, standing against the rubble. Did he remember how to hunt? Did he value his own strength over the king's promise? The strong man needs no statues or monuments. His legacy is survival itself. He leaves no paper trail for the archaeologists, only footprints moving away from the inevitable, soft death of the city and back toward the harsh, honest earth. That is the only monument worth building, the strength forged by perpetual necessity. You can choose your fate. You can live within the illusion, comforted by warm bread and the false security of walls built by others, slowly exchanging your innate power for borrowed ease. Or you can stand in the cold light, recognize the lie of dependence, and reclaim the brutal, terrifying freedom of self-reliance. The path of steel is heavy, fraught with danger, and offers no guaranteed reward beyond the knowledge that you answer to no one but the wilderness itself. But here is the cold truth: the diamond forged in the ice. Only the man who fears nothing and depends on nothing is truly strong. Forget the velvet, grip the hilt. Ask yourself this before the darkness comes: have you allowed comfort to turn you into a dog, or are you still a wolf? Leave your thoughts on the price of civilization below.